The air in the councilman's office was stale, smelling of old paper and lost arguments. It was a place where dreams came to die on the altar of spreadsheets and budgets. Across the polished mahogany desk, Brother John, a man barely 30 years old, clutched a worn leather-bound ledger. It felt heavier than it should, each empty page a testament to failure. "The numbers don't lie, son," Councilman Harrison said, his voice flat, devoid of sympathy. He gestured a dismissive hand towards the window, which overlooked the crumbling stone walls and overgrown gardens of St. Jude's Monastery. "That place, it's a relic. It consumes resources and produces nothing. The town can't afford to carry it anymore." John looked at the man. Harrison wasn't cruel, just practical. He saw the world in black and red ink. He saw the monastery not as a sanctuary of history and quiet contemplation, but as an unproductive asset, a drain on the community. "It has been a place of peace for 500 years, John said, his own voice barely a whisper. "And for 500 years it has survived on charity," Harrison retorted, leaning forward. "But the world has changed. Charity has dried up. I have a developer ready to offer a generous sum for that land. Townhouses, a community center, something that provides value." Value. The word hung in the air, cold and sharp. John felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He was the last of his kind, the youngest caretaker of a place the world had forgotten. The older brothers were frail, lost in their prayers and memories, leaving him to face the brutal reality of their finances. Harrison sighed, a sign of strained patience. He saw the desperation in John's eyes. "Look, I'll give you 1 year, 12 months. Turn it around. Make it profitable. Show me that it can provide value to this community. Don't come to me asking for donations or grants. The time for begging is over. Create something, or in 1 year's time, the bulldozers arrive." John walked out of the office, the councilman's words echoing in his mind. The time for begging is over. He walked for miles, not on the town's paved sidewalks, but through the wild, untamed grounds of the monastery. He felt like a failure, a guardian who was about to lose everything he was sworn to protect. He ended up in the old medicinal garden, a place choked with weeds and forgotten plants. The scent of damp earth and wild herbs filled the air. For centuries, monks had cultivated this land. Now, it was just a mess. He sank to his knees, his hands digging into the cool soil, his hope completely gone. But as he looked at the chaos, his eyes caught something strange. Peeking behind a curtain of ivy was a row of gnarled, twisted bushes he'd never paid much attention to. Their leaves were small and dark green, shimmering faintly in the afternoon light. He plucked one, crushing it between his fingers. A fragrance bloomed in the air. It was incredible. It was deep, complex, and smelled of earth, rain, and something ancient. Could this be it? Could the answer to saving this place be right here, buried in the dirt, waiting to be found? The next few months were a blur of mud-caked robes and aching muscles. John didn't start with a ledger or a business plan. He started with a shovel and a pair of shears. He spent his days clearing away the weeds, carefully pruning the ancient, forgotten tea bushes. The older brothers watched him with a mixture of pity and concern. "Brother John," one of them, a kind man named Samuel, said one evening, "your devotion is admirable, but our purpose is prayer, not farming." "Perhaps," John replied, his hands stained with dirt, "our prayers will be heard more clearly when we are not starving." The work was grueling. He read ancient texts from the monastery's library, learning about the unique cultivation methods for this specific, long-lost variety of tea. He learned about withering, rolling, oxidizing, processes that felt more like alchemy than agriculture. There was no money for equipment, so he built a drying rack from salvaged wood and used the old stone hearth to control the temperature. Every step was done by hand, slowly, patiently. Halfway through the year, Councilman Harrison paid a visit, as promised. He walked through the gardens, his polished shoes looking absurdly out of place in the mud. He saw John's small makeshift processing area. He looked at the few small sacks of dried leaves. "This is it?" Harrison asked, his skepticism unconcealed. "This is your grand plan to save St. Jude's? Leaves?" "It's more than leaves," John said quietly. "It's the best tea in this region, maybe the country." Harrison let out a short, humorless laugh. "The delusions of a desperate man. I'll see you in 6 months, John, with the developer." Harrison's words were a blow. Doubt, a cold and creeping vine, began to wrap around John's heart. Was he a fool? Was he just wasting his time, delaying the inevitable? That night, tired and demoralized, he almost gave up. The weight of expectation, the looming deadline, the scorn of the councilman, it was all too much. He sat alone in the monastery's vast, cold kitchen and decided to brew a cup of his own tea, a real cup, for the first time. As the hot water touched the dark, twisted leaves, the room filled with that same breathtaking aroma from the garden. It was a scent of hope. He took a sip. It was unlike any tea he had ever tasted. It was smooth yet complex, with notes of honey, wood smoke, and wild berries. It didn't just warm his body, it settled his soul. In that moment, he knew Harrison was wrong. This wasn't just a leaf, this was value. John didn't try to sell his tea to big distributors. He couldn't compete. Instead, he took a small wooden table to the town's weekend farmers market. He set out a single, elegant jar of his tea, which he called Abbot's Solace, and a simple kettle to offer samples. People walked by, more interested in bright red tomatoes and fresh-baked bread. He sold only 2 small bags the entire day. He was disappointed, but not defeated. The next week, an elderly woman who had bought one of the bags returned. "Young man," she said, her eyes wide, "I have been drinking tea for 70 years. I have never, ever tasted anything like this. I need 5 more bags. For my children, they must try this." That was the spark. Word of mouth is a slow, quiet force, but it is powerful. It moves not through loud advertisements, but through genuine human connection. A food blogger tasted it and wrote a rapturous post. A small high-end restaurant in the city asked to feature it. Soon, people weren't just buying the tea, they were making pilgrimages to the monastery to see the garden where it was grown. They found a place of profound peace and the best tea they had ever tasted. The final day of the year arrived. Councilman Harrison showed up, not alone, but with the slick-looking developer by his side, blueprints under his arm. They walked not into a silent, decaying monastery, but a place that was alive. The gardens were tidy, volunteers were helping pack tea, and a small, charming shop had been set up in the old gatehouse. John met them not with a ledger full of red ink, but with a simple, steaming cup for each of them. Harrison took a sip. His eyes closed. The aggressive, business-like posture seemed to melt away from his shoulders. He tasted the history, the patience, the care in that single cup. He saw the quiet dignity of the place. He looked at the modest but steady income reports John had laid out. The monastery wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. It wasn't begging for money. It was earning it by creating something of true, undeniable value. The developer looked confused, but Harrison looked at John with a newfound respect. The townhouses were forgotten. The story of Brother John isn't just about tea. It's a profound lesson about wealth. In a world that screams for you to move faster, to speculate, to chase the next big thing, true, lasting wealth is often built slowly. It's built by cultivating your own garden, by focusing on creating real value, not just the appearance of it. John didn't find a treasure map or win a lottery. He found forgotten assets right under his feet and had the patience and vision to nurture them. He stopped asking what the world could give him and started focusing on what he could give to the world. And in return, the world gave him everything he needed. Wealth, you see, isn't always about acquiring more. Sometimes it's about cultivating better. If this story resonated with you and you're ready to start planting the seeds for your own rich life, then subscribe to Money Minds Tales. Join our community as we explore more stories that uncover the true meaning of wealth.